Hey guys, Frosty Knives here, and we are back with episode 8 of Frosty's EU reviews in chronological order. And that brings us to the very first Timothy Zahn novel and review, the failed and doomed and sad story of Outbound Flight. Now, Outbound Flight is Timothy Zahn's prequel story to his own Heir to the Empire trilogy. And it tells the backstory of not only of Outbound Flight and what it is, but it gives us the backstory of two very important figures in the expanded universe. One being Jedi Master Jorus C'baoth, who plays a very important role in both this book and the Zahn trilogy. And it also gives us the backstory of one very young Chiss commander, Mithra Nerowodo, or as we like to call him, Thrawn. So what exactly is Outbound Flight? Well, Outbound Flight is a Jedi project. It is the brainchild of C'baoth, and it is a massive, massive undertaking. It is essentially a long-term exploration and colonization project. The vehicle itself, Outbound Flight itself, is 6 Dreadnought-class battleships arranged around a circular storage core. And it's the battleships attached to this core that propel the core through space. For personnel, there are 6 Jedi Masters, 12 Jedi Knights, and 50,000 civilian personnel, including engineers, scientists, medics, and families and children, Force-sensitive children. So this is a massive amount of personnel. There is enough food, medical provisions, and material to sustain both the ship and this large group of people for anywhere from 3 to 5 years. And the idea is to send Outbound Flight off into the unknown regions, explore the unknown regions of their galaxy, and then eventually to leave the galaxy and go explore other galaxies. And along the way, they may drop some Jedi off to colonize planets as they see fit. Now, that is the Jedi, and that is C'baoth's idea of Outbound Flight. Darth Sidious, however, has a different idea of Outbound Flight. And his idea is, if he can take 19 of the most problematic Jedi that stand a good chance of standing in his way between him and executing his grand plan of the galaxy, if he could put them all on a ship together, all in one space, and shoot it out there, send it off, and then destroy it, attack it and destroy it so that it never reaches its destination, then he can eliminate a good chunk of the Jedi in one fell swoop. And he doesn't care if he kills 50,000 personnel and civilians and children in the process. He just wants to get these Jedi, and particularly C'baoth, out of his way, although it's never really explained to us why he wants C'baoth out of the way. He just does. So he pushes the Outbound Flight project through all the bureaucratic red tape, gives C'baoth everything that he wants, sends him off on his way, and then he sends his right-hand man, Doriana Kinman, after him with a Trade Federation battleship, some starfighters, and some battle droids, and tells him to intercept him at a certain point before he leaves the galaxy and take him out and make sure that Outbound Flight is destroyed. And so Kinman does that. The only problem is that neither Outbound Flight nor Kinman and the Trade Federation realize that their trajectory sends them straight through Chiss space. And as they cross into space occupied by the Chiss Ascendancy, they come to the attention of one Commander Thrawn of the Chiss Defense Fleet, the Chiss Expansionary Force, who's out patrolling Chiss space. And of course, Thrawn has to stop them to find out who they are and what they're doing and why are they in Chiss space and whether or not they're an enemy or a friend, or are they spies, or are they saboteurs, or are they the front line of an invasion force? He doesn't know. So he has to find out. And this is Thrawn's very first encounter with humans, with the Republic, with Jedi, with Palpatine. The Chiss pretty much stay to their own region of space, so they don't go outside of Chiss-controlled space, so they're not aware of what's out there. They have no idea about humans. They have no idea about Jedi. They have no idea about Jedi powers. They have no idea about the Republic. They have no idea about Palpatine or Dark Jedi or anything like that. So this is where Thrawn learns everything about Republic space, and Republic people. Now, this really is a wonderful story. This is a fantastic novel. Timothy Zahn, of course, writes fantastic novels, and this is no exception. Is extremely well crafted. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a giant cast of characters. They're all fleshed out. They're all very well, very well described and very well organized. It is your typical Zahn novel. Just wonderfully crafted. The storyline is just, there's a lot of threads that connect this book with his other books and other expanded universe books. So he does a really good job of fitting this in with his own trilogies and his own batch of books, as well as the entire expanded universe as a whole. Now, Outbound Flight is really the story, the twin story of C'baoth and Thrawn. This is where we get to meet them for the first time. This is where we get to see the backstory of both of them for the first time. And in a lot of ways, they're both very similar because they're both, in their own respects, in their own rights, they're both renegades. C'baoth is considered a renegade among the Jedi because he is extremely strong-willed. He's extremely opinionated. He's very stubborn. He's slightly power-hungry. He believes that the Jedi shouldn't be serving the greater good, that they shouldn't be guardians of the galaxy. He's so disgusted with the corruption in the bureaucracy and the corruption in the Republic and the Senate and how everything just seems to be so sour and nothing ever seems to get done. And there's just so much politicking and corruption going on that he believes the Jedi should be in charge. He believes because they are, in his opinion, better than everybody else. They have access to powers over everyone else, that they really should be the ones controlling the shots, controlling the Republic, and calling the shots. And that's exactly what C'baoth does on Outbound Flight. He treats Outbound Flight as his own personal Jedi fiefdom. He controls everything. He makes all of the decisions. He's judge, jury, and executioner. He handles all of the disputes. He tells everybody what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. You have to fall in line with him. He even goes so far as to tell people whether or not they can decorate their own rooms, whether or not they can decorate their mess halls. He micromanages it, and he puts the whole project under his thumb, including everybody that's on Outbound Flight, including all of the other Jedi, all of the other masters, and all of the personnel. So we really see, and this is a really good example, we get to see C'baoth's slow descent into the dark side. Because he's right there. When we meet him, he's not a very nice character. He's not a very good character. You really don't like him. He's extremely arrogant. He's inflexible. He's power hungry. He treats his Padawan like dirt. He treats everybody else like dirt beneath him. He thinks the Jedi should be in charge of everything. When he's walking down the hall, he doesn't even get out of anybody's way. He makes them get out of his way. He's just this force of nature. And that mix, that power-hungry mix, along with the arrogance and along with his propensity to anger, just gives us his slow slide to becoming a Dark Jedi. And finally, at the end of the book, he goes full dark side. The final confrontation between Thrawn and C'baoth, the final battle actually has C'baoth force choking Thrawn. He's going to kill him. He's going to kill him, and he's going to kill anybody who stands in Outbound Flight's way. He goes full dark side, and he attempts to kill Thrawn to the point where Thrawn has to sort of preserve himself, and he winds up destroying Outbound Flight in the process. He doesn't really want to, but he has to, otherwise he's going to die. So we get to see this dark Jedi C'baoth before we get to see the crazy dark Jedi C'baoth in Heir to the Empire trilogy. And it's interesting to see that he's always had these propensities and that he's always had this predilection to the dark side. And it's nice to see that. That it wasn't just in that book, but this was a trend and a slow sort of progression for him. We also get to see a young Thrawn. Not quite the Grand Admiral that he is, but he's also a renegade to the Chiss people, because he's not like other Chiss. He doesn't believe in the Chiss military doctrine. The Chiss military doctrine is they don't believe in preemptive strikes. You don't preemptively strike anyone. You just wait and observe and watch, and you let them make the first move. And then when they attack you, then you can defend yourself, but you never preemptively strike anyone. And Thrawn doesn't believe that. Thrawn believes that there are times when you should preemptively strike, when people, other species are crossing into your territory and are being pirates and being smugglers and are stealing technology and are slavers and are stealing people and are infringing on your space. He believes that that's enough justification to warrant a retaliation. But the Chiss don't believe that. They believe that you never, ever preemptively strike anyone. And Thrawn flaunts that all the time. Throughout this whole book, he finds ways around that so that he gets them to attack him first. He provokes them enough where they attack him, and then he can retaliate, and that's his way around the doctrine. And that type of behavior is eventually going to lead him into exile. He's eventually, down the road, going to get exiled from the Chiss military. So we can see the beginnings of that, how he can, how he gets exiled. We also get to see the first look at his military genius. And that's one of the things that people love, that I love about Thrawn, is that he is just a military genius. He is like a supercharged Sherlock Holmes, because he can look at it, he will study a culture, and he will study a culture's art. He will study their architecture and their technology and the way they talk and the way they do art and the way they build ships and the way they build buildings and the way they have architecture. And he will learn how they will react in a military fashion just from studying their art, just from studying their architecture. We saw that in Heir to the Empire. And this is where we see it for the first time. We begin to see how he studies things, just like he studies the Republic when he meets the humans for the first time. He learns about the Republic. He learns about the Jedi. He learns their language, and he learns about the technology and how they make ships. And just by observing the way a culture does those things, he can deduce how they're going to react in military situations, enough that he can make plans and sort of preempt that, and he takes them down. He's this incredibly gifted military genius, and that's why everybody loves Thrawn. That's why I love Thrawn, and that's why Darth Sidious eventually loves Thrawn and makes him a Grand Admiral. By the way, the only alien Grand Admiral in the Empire. Thrawn has impressed the Emperor enough with his military acumen that even though the Emperor is xenophobic and hates non-humans and thinks that humans should be ruling the galaxy, Thrawn is the only non-human commander in the Empire and the only one to have obtained the rank of Grand Admiral, which is one of the highest ranks that you can achieve. So that says a lot about Thrawn as a character. This is a wonderful book. I'm not going to tell you too much about the plot because this is a Zahn novel, and there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a wide cast of characters. There's a lot of things going on. There's wonderful space battles. There's a lot of Thrawn. There's a lot of C'baoth. There's a lot of Dark Jedi. The story of Outbound Flight is a sad one because we know going into it that they're not going to make it. This is a doomed mission. They're not going to survive. There's going to be a lot of casualties, and there is a lot of casualties. And the way that Thrawn actually gets rid of Outbound Flight is downright horrific. The way that it happens, but this is a wonderfully crafted story. This is a wonderful addition to the expanded universe. Like I have always said, when people ask where should I start, I always point them start at a Zahn novel. Timothy Zahn has a great grasp of Star Wars. He has a great grasp of storytelling. He has a great grasp of science fiction storytelling. He has a wonderful understanding of Star Wars and what Jedi are and philosophies and the interactions between different characters. He just has a one. I often have said that in a lot of ways, Timothy Zahn understands Star Wars better than George Lucas understands Star Wars, and this is no exception. This is a wonderful. If you're going to start with a Zahn novel, start with this one. It's a great book. It's action-packed. There's philosophy in it. You get to see a Jedi slide to the dark side. There's a lot of sadness to it. There's a lot of melancholy to it. There's a lot of horrific things that happen. And it's going to tie into a lot of things down the road. So this is the beginning of what we're going to eventually get when we get past all of the movie books and into the real the after the movie expanded universe. I gave this is an automatic 5. I give it a 5 on Goodreads. Most Zahn novels are probably, in my opinion, going to be automatic 5 stars because they're that good and he's that good and they're just wonderful stories to just wrap yourselves in. So guys, that is my review of Timothy Zahn's Outbound Flight. The next book that we're going to be reading and reviewing is The Approaching Storm by Alan Dean Foster, and that is the last book before Attack of the Clones. So guys, tell me what you thought. Have you read Outbound Flight? Have you read any of the Zahn novels? Do you like them? Tell me if you do like them. Tell me if you don't like them. Tell me what you think about Outbound Flight in particular, Timothy Zahn in general, and Thrawn. Leave some comments down below. Like and subscribe, share it around, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell people that may be sliding down to the dark side. And until next time, I will see you in the next video.